Right. Okay. Live again. Right. Okay. Okay, so sound test works fine. Mute that for a moment. Let's go to Twitter. Just get a message out about this. Right. Let's add a yo. Right, CamZX22. Good to have you here. I'm just making sure people know I'm streaming. And let's get a Facebook message out. Okay. That should do for now. Right, okay, so what am I going to be doing today? Right, so anyone that's actually been following the development of the game will notice something different in the interface, which is this it's this thing here, the kind of downward arrow. And what this actually is it acts like a bit of a call to arms. Good morning. It acts like a bit of a call to arms is the idea. And we've got a temporary graphic in place for it now, but the ants aren't responding to it yet. So that's my aim today, is to be able to attract ants to a certain area. Just a very basic level of it. So that's what I will be doing. I'll show you what it looks like at the moment. So if I put one down, it's just kind of like some smoke effect with a hovering ant, and it's just a way of symbolizing you want to attract your ants to that point. You can also place it and remove it with right click at the moment, as that didn't have a function before. So yeah, that's the idea. So you'll be able to draw ants to a certain area in order to attack things. Most of what I'll be doing today is the AI involved in this. So the So once that's been placed down, the black ants need to respond to it. And it wasn't actually me that built that into the game, so I'm going to be learning how to use it as I'm going along as well. Even though it's our team that's developed it, he's given me a small list of instructions, and that should allow me to build the AI around it. So I'm just going to save a new copy of this map. I need to delete some of these, to be honest, because little test builds are not necessarily useful as they become obsolete. Okay, so we got a new copy of the map, and I need to set up a test for it. So in order to test it, we're going to need a few black ants. Yeah, initially, all we need is a few black ants and an area that they can run to. So let me just tunnel out an area here. And we need a few of the creatures in. So what I'm looking for is the black ant creature. Okay. Shouldn't need much else to start with. Eventually I'll need an enemy to see how they respond with an enemy in. But that should be enough for now. And they'll just be doing nothing at the moment. And if I place that down over there, they're still doing nothing. Cool. Okay. So I believe access to that is gained through the player state, which you can just access at any point in the blueprints. So I should be able to just find the player state in the blueprints. But where does this need to happen? This needs to occur in the black ant's brain. So if I go into the AI for the black ant, or the basic soldier AI, and we need to work out how it fits in with the current AI. Now this stuff has been here for a while, and it was just me testing things, and it's no longer useful. So get rid of that. I need to check out the file. Right, so something that should overwrite the black ant's behavior to head towards the flag is spotting an enemy, because if it spots an enemy, it already needs to be attacking it, and certainly if it's hovering around the flag, it needs to attack anything nearby. So this check initially to check if you're targeting an enemy, that still needs to be the first thing to happen. And if you are targeting an enemy, you want to head towards it and attack it. If you're close enough, you just want to attack it. Okay, so that's fine. After you've checked whether you're targeting an enemy, now this is where we want to come in. Next step of the behavior tree. So this one is going to be, it'll be a selector, I believe, because there'll be a couple of states that it can go into, and it will want to. So let's add a selector. And in order for it to go into this selector, it's going to need to meet a condition which will be it will be whether or not this attract thing exists. So we'll do a check in the player's game, in the player state. Check for its flag, its call to arms flag, whatever the device is called, and if that exists, head towards it. Head towards a random spot near it. Then wander around a bit. Then head towards it again. Wander around a bit. So it'll kind of cause the ants to head towards it and then kind of spread out and move around nearby it, rather than actually go directly for the flag. There's actually some pretty well built commands for this. But what we want to do first is we want to make a new decorator. Now, decorators are these blue things that I've been using as the conditions. And we just want the base blueprint. Let's call it do I have I'm not sure what he's called it. I'll find out. I think I'm going to need to rename that in a second to be something slightly more sensible. Based on what my colleague has actually named the thing. So it will be in user interface, I suspect. In game. CTOA set. CTOA. It's the actual in-game item I care about more than the interface one, actually, so it won't be in UI. Let's get rid of that. Hang on. Territories, fog. Call to arms. C2A, that's what he's called it. Okay. Right, I know what he's called it. I don't need to mess around with that stuff. And I was pretty close actually with the with my guess. So let's have a look. It was in the soldier. Do I have a CTO? In fact, putting the word flag in there is pointless. So I'm just going to rename it to do I have CTOA? Do I have CTOA? Okay. Right, so I was given some form of instructions of how to basically access this from my colleague. So let me just have a quick glance over them. Presentation is temporary. It Says the graphics temporary. He's not happy with it. You can place it and remove it with the right click. The EOTU player controller class has a new member called Home Nest Call to Arms with a getter and a setter. Okay, so I'm literally just looking for this get Home Nest Call to Arms thing. So in here we want to override its condition check. So let's have a quick look. So we want to get the player controller for the black ant. So the owner actor. Hang on, just do a check of this. Cast to creature. Right, I'm just going to add some text in here to let me know. Not a creature. If that's gone horribly wrong. As creature, get owner. No, sorry. So this might go wrong, but it's alright, it'll take me a second to fix it if it does. Okay, so I get the player controller, cast to EOTU player controller. This is actually a, I can make this a pure cast. And what a pure cast is, it means it's always going to be an EOTU player controller, because the only player controllers we have in the game are EOTU player controllers. So it's safe to make it, cast it without doing a check like this. So from there should be something new called Home Nest. Get Home Nest Call to Arms. And this is basically just a condition check. So when we get its Home Nest Call to Arms, all we're doing with it is checking that it exists. And to do that, in Unreal, you check whether it's equal to nothing. So if the Home Nest Call to Arms is equal to nothing, return false. No, sorry, I'm going mad. I need a condition there. So the branch will do the check. If So if it is equal to nothing, it will return false. If it is not equal to nothing, it will return true. Okay. It's a note on this. What does the note say? Info to the exclusion path doesn't end with a return node. Oh yeah, that can cause big problems in this. So If it's not a creature, it should return false. There we are. But it should definitely warn me, which it will do. Okay, so do I have... see, call to arms. Okay, so now I'm going to add this into the... do I... come on. Do I have C2A? Okay. Right. Oh, the chat's quiet this morning. If you have any questions, guys, just let me know. If you don't say anything, I'm assuming you're happy with me just ploughing through. Good afternoon, Andrew. Right. Okay, so with that added, I'm just gonna... you know what, I should add some text on the outputs. Yeah, let's do that, just so I know that this is failing or succeeding. So... not sure if I spelled that right, never mind. They're only temporary checks anyway. Okay, so I should be getting some text. Cool. That's good to know. Yeah, it's alright. It's what I said I thought might fail at the beginning. That's why I added that thing in. So what I need to do... this always seems a bit strange to me, but AI controller get get control pawn. I never quite get this. Either way, that should solve that one. Cool. Okay, so now all three of these ants are constantly calling this function and failing, but when I put this down, there we are. They're constantly succeeding. Thank goodness for that. Yeah. Okay, so they're doing exactly what I hoped they'd do, which fills me with joy. And at this minor success, I'm going to go get a coffee. So back in a second. All right. Skip. Hope none of this was top secret. What's top secret? What's going on? Ah, Skype. I see. No, it was actually one of my colleagues who's working on the he's working on the job system. The demo had a lot of problems with the jobs going with ants doing stupid stuff and running around and back and forward from various job bits, but he's building a system that uses. I think he said it uses a kind of probabilistic method of assigning the jobs, and apparently it feels a lot nicer. So no, it's not top secret. It's all going to be available in the backers demo anyway. Although I should definitely turn Skype off, so my messages to me don't keep coming up. I know. I'll turn it on my phone so I can. There's three of us. Three of us, and one other guy works a bit on the game, doing another guy works a bit on the game, doing bits and bobs, but he doesn't work properly on it like we do. He just does bits and bobs. Okay, so where were we? Okay, so the ant successfully succeeded and failed. Okay, so now I just need to make the soldiers react to it. So first thing they need to do, I guess the first thing I can do to just test it is I need to make a function called target call to arms. Target call to arms, that'll do. It's a task. I need to make a task. Okay, and all that needs to do is set their current target to the call to arms. Okay, this is a bit of an odd situation because I actually want them to not head directly for their target. They need to head for a nearby point. Chris, any idea when we might be able to get our hands on another version of the game? There'll be a backers version of the game released in the last week of the Kickstarter. So that's in about a week's time. And that'll include all of these updates, but I'm also going to be putting together some new levels for it as well. I'd like to get a couple of levels. I mean, they'll all only be underground levels, but I'd like to be able to get a couple on the go. So maybe some some streamers can do like a let's play with a few of them, rather than just being one. But as well as the backers only demo, I also want to release an updated version of the other demo we released to everyone. So they've got the new features in, but not the new levels. Oh, I hate it when it does this. I swear this is an error in the engine. Because it basically tries to check out the base thing of what I've done, which is the blueprint task thing. The only way I can stop it complaining about it is to shut down the engine and reopen it. But anyway, I can just ignore it. Okay, so I want it to target an area of ground, really, but we'll see what functions are available to us when we target. Yeah. Inside this task, I'm going to event receive execute. Inside this task, I'm going to try and make them target a specific area of the ground. But I'm going to need something relatively similar to this to start with. So I might just copy and paste it. We can get rid of these now, actually. Because we know that was functioning as expected. And this not a creature text. I'm going to leave that in anyway because it should never come up. If it does come up, we've got a problem, so I may as well leave it in as it's just an error message. So in that case, I need this. Just take that. I say it's just going to keep complaining to me about those. So stupid. Controller. Yeah. Okay. So we should be all right here. Okay, so it gets the home nest call to arms. Okay, so from there, so it's the actor location that we're looking for. So thanks for backing Lala Gaming. That's great. So yeah, this we want the actor location, but we want a point on the nav mesh. Now, the nav mesh is basically the area that the ants can walk, and if we take a look at the demo, if I press P, we can see the nav mesh. So basically, we want to get a random point on the nav mesh that's within a certain area of it. Not sure on the radius that a flag that the call to arms thing should have the ants wandering around. I get the feeling it should be about how many tiles? About 6 tiles wide, maybe bigger. So we're like an area of 6 tiles wide they can access. Each tile's 200 across, so it's going to be about 1,200 is the sort of area we're looking at. So get random point in navigation radius. Or get random reachable point in navigation radius. Now that's probably the more fail-safe one, but it's also, yeah, that'll be the more fail-safe one to do. So I'm just asking for a random position within a certain radius of it. Okay, so in order to make this usable in the future, this radius really needs to come from something sensible. I think what would be sensible would be the call to arms flag. So basically we add a stat into this home nest call to arms thing, which is the radius in which ants will wander around it. I'll call it the wander radius, for example. So in order to do that, I need to find this thing. So we're going to jump over to the C++ side of things. I believe I've already got it open. Okay. And I'm also going to need to check out the file as I edit it. So I'm looking for EOTU player state. Game mode, game, blah, blah, blah. Game player controller, was it? Well, I should be able to see in here anyway. So what was it called? It was called C2. Let me just check that. Nest call to arms. There we are. So there's an actor in there called home nest call to arms. Now, where that's set, I'm not sure. To be fair, that is probably set somewhere in the blueprints. It'd be good if it is, because I'd rather just get the stat out of the blueprints. It'd be simpler. How many call to arms equals 0 point? Yeah, it might be the blueprints that it's set. So with that in mind, where would it be set? You know, I suspect it's actually in the underground tile, because that's where all the interface stuff is going on. Might not be though. Dig tile, flatten tile, update job visual, blah blah blah. Apply tile job. Should probably check the H file, probably easier to. Right, there's something here that is based on the tool you have selected. So if I look for the word tool, actually, that might be the right place to do it. Okay, no tool. I'm really looking for right click though. Or mouse click. Yeah, this isn't this isn't really giving me the info I need. Okay, so we did find it, didn't we? Yeah, we did find it. It was in the blueprints, and it was there. Something called call to arms here. See, there's a variable in here anyway called spin rate. I need to add a variable in. Okay, so we'll add it into here, and what this is going to be called is wander radius. It's going to be a floating point value, and it is going to be accessible and editable from outside of this point. But I do want to give it a default value. Go away. I'm going to have to restart the editor in a minute. That's driving me mental. I said it should be about 1,200, didn't I? So if I compile that. Alright, so that'll do for a default value. I probably won't be editing that much. Either way, it's in a sensible place. Right, I'm going to restart the editor. So that blooming warning message down there, this one. Go away. Right. So then, let's move on. Back to the level I was editing. I just got type John test 10.2. Okay, so I also need the AI that I was editing as well. Okay, so now we can draw. Now we should be able to pull this radius out of here. So, assuming it is the right thing and doesn't need to be cast forward. What did I call it? Wander. Get home nest call to arms. What object are we trying to cast it to? It's called call to arms. Not a call to arms. So now we're a call to arms, theoretically. We should be able to get hold of this value that I just put in. Get wander radius. Excellent. All that faffing around, and we finally got this float value. But now it's in a safe place at least. A sensible place at least. I shouldn't need to do any of that stuff. So now we've got this value here, which is should be just somewhere on the navigation mesh that's within a certain radius. The ant's going to want to head over to it. Can you tell us what kind of machine you're working on? You're working at the editor. What kind of machine you're working at with the editor? Oh, my desktop. Do you want to know what my desktop specs are? If it's desktop specs you're after, I've got a GTX 970, some RAM. Yeah. That's the system I'm working on. But so yeah, that should have given you the system specs that I'm using at the moment. So yeah, with this location, they're going to want to try and head to it. I'm not sure yet whether they want to store it as a target and then use... Yeah, probably. Okay, so basically the ants are going to need a target that isn't an actor, because they're just going to need a target location. So I'm not sure if it works like that in... So if I do a move to command, just a basic one. So there's a move to. Some of these I made, some of these I built in. So the move to command is a built-in one. So it's got an acceptance radius, a partial path. I thought... Stop on overlap. Yeah. Self actor. See, there's the self actor there. Current target. So these are just objects. And the move to command should be picking those up actually. Partial path. Either way, I think I'm going to add in an extra type of command here, which will just be move to target location. And then I'll store a location in the blackboard. So what I probably want to do here then is, rather than target call to arms, target near call to arms location. So what this will do is it will store a value in the Blackboard. That will be a location and not an object. So what I want then, there's something called location. Ah, no, I know what that is. That's whether you're on the surface or not. So yeah, I want a vector. This one called target location. Okay. So now we've got a target location added. What I'll do is have this target near C to A location actually get the Blackboard value. So I'm going to get control pawn. Just a creature. So this is the. It's here actually. Get Blackboard. Set value as vector. Okay. Okay, so here what we have is that Blackboard value being that I just set up being set to this random location. But in order to actually do that, I need to create the Blackboard. I need to set it. I need to set that value. Okay, so that should change the target location value to this one, and then finish execute. That's finish execute with success. I'm also going to have a finish execute with a failure. In fact, I'll do this in a couple of places just to keep it a little bit neater. Okay, so if it fails those casts, it ends this sequence with a failure. Right. So this move to cell factor. Don't need that anymore. Oh look. Move to target location. There we go. It allows a vector to go in there as well. The acceptance radius, I usually set this to roughly 50. It depends how accurate you need it to be. I don't think this needs to be particularly accurate. Okay, so all we've got here is something that's finding a random location that's navigatable to near the flag and then trying to move to it. So I actually wonder whether that'll just nothing ever just works. Let's just have a quick look at them at the output, see if anything's coming out. No, okay. See, it is calling that. Yeah, every now and then. Seems to be rapidly calling it at the moment. This is just one of my soldiers. To be fair, I can simplify this test for a start by just having one soldier. Let's not try and bite off more than we can chew to start with. Okay, so now we can see what's going through the brain of this soldier. I'm going to put a breakpoint in and we'll see what's coming out. Okay. So we're getting some values here. Okay, so we've got the flags placed at Z0. That's fine. 4823 and 2174. Does that sound about right? Two 2183 and 2174, and the vector, the final vector that's coming out is 4823. Sounds about right. It's within 1200. Y 2515. 2174. Yeah. Sounds about right. So it looks like the value's being set okay. And we're just immediately ending back up here, back up in here. So it must be the move to that's having a problem. Or maybe the blackball value isn't being set. That's the other thing it could be. So let's check that next. So what I'm looking for is this target location. There's the issue. It just says invalid. So set blackboard vector of value. Check my spelling of things. I didn't see any difference there. So yeah, it appears that the vector's not getting set. Of course it won't be set at the minute. Actually, you need to put a flag down for it to get set. Oh no. Okay, so I was wrong then. The target location is constantly being set. I'm an idiot. I'm a complete idiot. Right. Let me explain what I've done wrong. Only take a second to explain. This is a selector. I made it as a selector because I thought there'd be a situation where you already had a target location, and your behavior tree just happened to get reset by something else. But you already had one you were heading to, so you want to go into the other one. So what selector does is it looks at its children, and if one succeeds, it says, right, we're done, because it selected that one. What sequence does is it looks at its children, and if one fails, it decides it's done. It decides it's done. So it goes through them in sequence until one fails. Now what I wanted here was a sequence, not a selector. Although I still think a selector could be important here, but I think basically what we actually want is a sequence. And for the sequence to run these children. Okay, so now when I put that down, the ant should head towards it. Hey. Yeah, there we are. So it's basically heading to a random point nearby. And then it's going into wander. I think the radius of 1,200 is too much, because I suspect that's what's going on at the moment. Is it keeps being told to path to near where the queen is. If I give it a radius of like 600, so half of what it currently is, so that will, I put these on the to arms flag. That should look a little bit more sensible. As in, it shouldn't. Yeah, there we go. So now what we got is an ant going a bit nuts around. To be honest, I wanted to change the rotation speed of the black ants, because I think it's a bit slow. They look a bit weird sometimes as they're rotating. But here it's never actually going into wander like it was before, because all it's doing is it's going in, it's deciding that it wants to head to a random location at the flag, and is then starting again and heading to another random location, another random location. And it's just on loop there. So it'll just constantly head to random locations around the flag. It's not taking any breaks. Have a break, Ant. Okay, so what I actually want it to do is when it gets to its location, I'd like it to wander a little bit. Or go idle. Yeah, maybe not wander, but go idle for a little bit. I mean, I've got... This is idle anyway, right? So I should just be able to copy that. So that should make it a little bit calmer. You should essentially walk over there, chill out for up to 5 seconds, then walk somewhere else nearby. Okay, idle already has something built in that if an ant spots an enemy, it breaks idle. So idle's fine. What isn't fine is the move to command. Now, we built something into the workers last time where basically they would constantly check whether there was a nearby enemy, and if they spotted a nearby enemy, they would break whatever it was. They would break that section of what they were doing. Yeah, the ants are resting a bit now. Okay, so you can see what's going on in its brain now. It's chilling out a lot more. So what next? I want it to be able to break its move to. So if it's moving somewhere during this process, but then spots an enemy, it needs to be able to break the whole sequence. So, I mean, I had a service on the other one, which was check for nearby enemies. And what that did got nearest enemy creature is not equal to nothing. Set value as object. Nearby enemy. Right, so that is expecting something called nearby enemy in the behavior tree. So I want it to be able to break a few areas of its behavior tree if it can find one, actually. If I have a look at how the worker did it, It runs this condition that it aborts itself if nearby enemy is set. And that's how the worker does it. It's constantly doing a scan for nearby enemies. If it finds one, it aborts itself and allows it to rethink, basically. So yeah, I only want this to actually occur in certain areas. So you don't want it to always abort itself if there's an enemy nearby. Does this get... It gets the nearest, so it's not just nearby. It's this value called nearby enemy should store the nearest creature, the nearest enemy to it, which is always a useful thing to have in your behavior tree anyway. So let's don't think all of these are needed anymore, you know. Either way, it's an object. Okay, that's good. Okay, so we're storing this nearby enemy thing. And then we need it to during this or this, it'll be this, won't it? What was it called? Blackboard base condition. There we are. And you just need to say, I think you need it to set. Let's have a look at how I did it in the worker. So on result change, observer aborts self is set nearby enemy. On result change, abort self is set nearby enemy. Okay, so basically anything in this sequence will abort itself if there's a nearby enemy. I think that'll work. And that's because it needs to then target the enemy. I'm assuming this nearby enemy uses the stat that's on the ant. This, I know this does. This definitely uses the stat that's on the ant. So yeah, if nearby enemy comes up, should abort itself, and it should be targeting an enemy at that point, so it should attack it. I know this is a lot of shoulds. So, am I in my base? Is my exit open? Am I in base? Is my exit open? Target nearby enemy. Right, I need to give the soldiers a smaller vision radius now, because they're currently able to see the entire length of the map. But now what we want them to do is only to be able to see in a small area. So instead of just automatically heading anywhere that a target becomes available, they will instead head for the point that you've put down, and will have a big radius there that they'll look for enemies from that point. So, I mean, at the moment it's set to something stupid just to cover the whole map. It's in creatures. $50,000. Now, 600 was a sensible radius for the... So maybe 1,000 is what we're looking at here. It kind of gives them a vision radius that they're allowed to look for targets in. So... what I'm going to do is I'm going to put an enemy creature quite a long way away. And by neutral. What we should see now is the black ants don't go to attack it. The black ant doesn't go to attack it until he gets close. So my guess is about here, the black ant will see it. Okay. So that was about right. Now what I want to do is the black ant to go out to meet it. Okay, something's gone wrong. Something I've done's broke the... It seriously broke things. Okay. I'm going to need another coffee to tackle this problem, I believe. Oh dear. Something's happened to the queen. Okay, so I need to have a look inside the ant's brain. I'm actually going to drag the brain onto my other screen so I can see what's going on as the game runs. That was actually the wrong AI controller, strangely enough. Okay. Cool. Okay. So that nothing much is happening at the moment. I need to get rid of this this thing for now. I'll just put it on my team. Just leave it. Right. What is going on in your brain? Seems to just be wandering and idling at the minute. This blackboard based condition I put in to abort self is what's blocking it. It's the thing that says if nearby enemy is set. Let's try this step. If nearby enemy is set, which it never is, of course that's not going to fire. Although see, I've changed that to if a nearby enemy is not set. Do this. No. What this should be doing is aborting itself if nearby enemy is not set, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Okay, hang on. I've actually turned this back to being an enemy now. Let's see what happens. Okay, so the black ant's headed to the point. and then it's headed straight into combat, which is what I believe what I wanted to happen. So that's on value change. Okay. So it checks if it's got a call to arms flag. It aborts itself. Gun result change is what I actually want. So I think that's right. I think it's right. I guess the way to test this properly is to add a load of black ants in. See if they do what I expect them to do. Enough to hopefully take down the Devil's Coach Horse. So what they should do is extend out from their location that I stick the thing to. So they all should head over there. And then as this thing's got closer, yeah, they've come over, and then they should all head back. Okay, they do, but it's not particularly responsive. And I know why this is. This is because of the wander mechanic. So basically, when an ant's not assigned to do anything, it does this wander mechanic where it just walks around randomly. But basically, it's running through its wander code before coming back to its flag code, to its call to arms flag code. Now, to avoid this, you could stop it going into wander if it's got a call to arms flag. That'd be very simple to add. I mean, that would take me a second. All you'd need to do, this is the worker, I'm not working on the worker at the minute. All you'd need to do, is that? I think I know what that is. Yeah, I know what that is. That's them harvesting the corpse of the ant, but not having anywhere to put it. Anyway, come back to that later. So yeah, here it does a few checks before it starts wandering around doing nothing. Although yeah, I'm trying to think of what be a long-term solution. Although this will do for now. I just want to stop it going into this wander code if it's got a. So do I have a call to arms flag inverse condition? So if he does not have a call to arms flag, he'll go into that code. And that should stop that. That should make it feel a little bit more responsive. Although if they're already wandering or idling, they will need to finish the current one at the minute before they break it. Oh, here they've all just spotted the enemy coming in, haven't they? Yes, let's test this properly. I need to put a flag here, so they should all head over to there. Then they should head back. Yeah, there's the error coming up again as the ants try and harvest the corpse. Okay. I think we have a vague system working here. So I need to try it on a bigger scale. Maybe actually just give the map a go. Yeah, I do need to solve this one. But that's from the harvesting that we implemented the other week. So what we have here is it gets the current job component. Right, I know, I see what's happened here. This is saying if the job component's null. That's not actually what we meant. What we meant is if the job was null. So yeah, that should solve that little error that's been coming up. Okay, so this isn't perfect yet, and what we ideally want is something a little bit more responsive. So, for example, if a call to arms flag goes down at the point that your ant is either wandering or idle, it should just break that activity and head straight to the call to arms flag. Now, the soldiers do break the activity if they come up with an enemy target, because basically as they're wandering or idling, both of them have a check built into them to see if there is an enemy target to attack. So they will immediately break that activity if there's an enemy target to attack, which is great. We want that to happen. But now we're talking about breaking those activities if there's a call to arms flag. So what it needs to do in the soldier behavior tree is if it's in this sequence, a not nearby target I think this whole thing needs to be built into a similar system as we will have with surface jobs. As in, on the surface, if your ant gets assigned to a surface job, it needs to break wander and idle and go immediately to the surface job. Although if it's doing an underground job at the time, it should finish that before taking on the surface job that it's been assigned to. So I think this is more of a longer term thing to think about. He's breaking these when... So you want to break it if either it's got a job to do, or it's got an enemy target to attack. Enemy targets will always take priority if they're nearby. If there's an enemy nearby, even if it's got a job, it should try and defend itself. But if not, then then the second priority should be to get to its job. Okay. I'm gonna have a quick look. I don't know if I'm actually going to change this at the moment, but it's the wander action. So within this wander action, it's keeping its eye on things. So if it's in play and its current job is not current job component, so it's got a job component, and its primary job is null, so that's if it hasn't got a job, it goes into this. Actor is not in play or has a primary job. Okay, it quits. So if it has a primary job, which is something that workers do, it will quit its wander immediately. So I want something similar for soldier ants and workers, actually, because the job system at the moment is just for underground. There's going to be a completely separate system for the surface tasks, because they're going to operate a little bit differently to the underground ones. So yeah, this is something which will be properly implemented as we implement the surface tasks to a more full degree. But I don't think at the moment it needs to be changed. So in that respect, is there something quick I can add in to make them break? See, I don't want them to break idle if they've got a call to arms flag, because they might actually be idling whilst they're at the flag. But they could potentially break wander, although they should probably just break the whole sequence over in that area of the behavior tree, rather than actually worry about within the wander tasks themselves. Similarly to what I'm doing with the breaking the sequence for the, and I'm talking kind of round in circles at the moment, but I need to make sure I get this right. So what I need it to do is to abort itself here, based on a blackboard condition, and that blackboard condition is I also don't trust aborting these tasks, because the way the way latent functions works is a bit funny. but it might well be built in to handle that. I'm wondering whether they'd still be wandering if they haven't been told not to. Whether they explicitly need to be cancelled. Probably fine though, right? At the moment. I mean, they're not fantastically responsive. Which is what's concerning me a little bit. The ants harvested the corpse there, but they've got nowhere to put the food, so the food's just been dropped. I really do want them a bit snappier. I think the only way to do it though is to build it into these individually, and that changes things. Maybe people will be maybe people will be all right with it being a bit of a delayed response anyway. I mean, for now, before we implement it properly. You know what's another thing that will help speed it up? Help, it won't fix it, but adding the decorator onto these as well. So basically it just does this check. Do I have a call to arms flag on these? Halving the amount of time. Do I have call to arms? Inverse condition. So if it doesn't have call to arms, it does those. At the same time, I could drop that to 3.5 seconds max wander time and 3.5 seconds max idle time. So this should feel a little bit better. So put that down there. Okay, that was quite a lot more responsive. I want to go and meet him, so go and meet him. Okay. Now I want them back by my queen. Come to my queen. Yeah, so the longest amount of time now that they can be doing bugger all is 3.5 seconds. Down from 10. So that's a significant improvement. Okay, so I'm relatively happy with this at the moment. I don't think there's anything else I need to do to improve that for this demo version. So let's test it out by actually setting up the level properly. So to do that, I need to delete the black ants. I need to fix these tiles, those are always breaking. Okay. Need to get rid of the devil's coach horse that I shoved up here. And I need to make these closed again. I don't need to, but I will. Okay, so just testing this out then. You'll notice now that there's a no build flag comes up when it's on floor tiles that you can't build on. Another useful little thing added. No, he hasn't done that yet. Okay. It should only take me a few minutes to get to a reasonable point in the demo. You all enjoying me watching me eat a bowl of lettuce? Or are you just wondering why I'm doing it? I don't know why I'm doing it. Putting myself through this torture. Okay. Like I said, there's improvements to the job system that are being worked on at the moment. Liam's currently hammering away at that. And hopefully by the end of today we should see some significant improvements in it. As far as I'm aware, he's already managed to get it hugely better than it was. But he hasn't finished yet, so he doesn't want to allow me to tinker with it until he's got it right. Okay. Let's start getting a few soldiers in. I don't know how loud this game is for you guys at the minute. Let me know if the music's too loud or anything. I've heard this music so many times. It's probably really quiet, actually. I've got it set to really quiet. Oh. I need to tell Matt about the... When I've got a build tile selected, a build tool selected, I want right click to cancel the tool rather than put down the pheromone flag. I think that's a sensible move. Anyway, let's do something I know is dangerous. So I want to gather my black ants there as I tunnel through to this. So yeah, they've all come through. Let's bring them forward a bit. Right, when I tunnel through here, what I expect will happen is the workers will panic. And yeah, the workers are... Some of them are lagging it. They at least stayed out of trouble enough to... Something else I wanted to do as well, which was for the black ants, to spread them out a bit more. So I want them... maybe 1 in 3 times that they're going to wander. Instead of wandering, they should path somewhere in the nest. Obviously, if they haven't got a call to arms flag. Because if they've got a call to arms flag, you don't want them spreading out. You want them gathering together. But the idea is that you can spread out a bit. Spread your forces out a bit. Because before they kind of all bunched together and they were stuck there for a while. It's alright whilst you've only got a few soldiers like at the minute. But as the game moves on, when you end up with, 50 of them or so, it gets a bit trickier. Don't want to build too many. Black ants too quickly. All this food's going to be gathered before they dig through. That's part of the job priority system. Like, dig jobs need a very high priority over others. Because, like then, I dug through to some food, then I wanted to dig a quick access tunnel to the food chamber. Perfectly sensible. Unfortunately, my ants were determined to gather all the food before they dug the quick access tunnel. Right. Okay, so let's gather in this black ant chamber here. Move the clever workers, avoiding digging out the the tile with the creature under. Yeah, the workers should harvest the creature as well now. I can let the black ants spread out a bit now. To be fair, they'll be a little bit better spread already because of how the marker thing works. Because it tells them to go to a random location in the nearby vicinity, so they should automatically spread out a bit in the area. Either way, I'm going to want my black ants with me for this one. Off you go, fellas. Girls. They've already harvested the corpse there. The corpse has 15 food on them. Okay, so I'm going to want to build more black ants. Failed to move. That's an interesting error. It's coming up constantly. Find out where that's coming from, because I'm in the editor at the minute. It's coming from move to target new. I believe that's in the worker behavior tree. So let's investigate where that's coming from. See, I've stopped using my custom move to targets mostly, but there'll still be some locations where it's still used. I need to find it. Move to job location. Move to target old. It's slightly concerning. There's an old one being used. Move to target new. So this is a very simple function this time. So there's something coming out with it, which is this one, which is the... I'm assuming it's aborted. Maybe it can't get to it. Maybe it's not on the nav mesh. So let's... I have a theory of what it might be. I think it's this food here. Actually, there's a few of them. Few food items haven't been picked up. That one's been picked up now. And there's also a few of these that haven't been built. Alright, welcome to the land of bug fixing. Here there be bugs. Controller 148. Is unfortunately not an option here because there's so many of them. Okay, so let's have a look. It's running this thing failed to move here, so let's put a breakpoint in. So yeah, move to target new 148. So the question is, what is it trying to move to? Okay. So it gets the return the current target, which is coming back as target point underscore 0. It's an interesting one. Target point underscore 0 actually sounds like something that shouldn't be here anymore. Okay, that's interesting. This is the issue. This is what's causing all of our problems at the moment. So what we have here is a scrum of ants trying to place a food item on the same food tile. And they're so determined that even when I free them... Well, I've just moved the food item that one of them's carrying. Okay. So... yeah, Scrum is a technical term. Yeah, I think there's a couple of food items which have issues anyway, just by their positioning. But yeah, there's an issue. I'll tell you what I think happened there. This is my thought process of what happened. Is the workers earlier picked up a load of food whilst there was room to store the food in their food chamber. So they picked up the food, they grabbed it, took it back. As they were all taking the food back, the food chamber filled up. So when they arrived, there was nowhere to put the food, so they just dropped it on the floor. It wasn't actually stored in the food chamber, it was just dropped. Now, what then happened was I spent the food on building tiles up in the top left, and all that dropped food, which was dropped in pretty much exactly the same point, was then the ants all went for it at the same time, just causing them to seize up into this ball of ants. Now, I've been meaning to do this for a while, which is to give the ants a little bit more consideration in their avoidance. Additionally, what could help is them being able to drop food on a food tile from a bit further away, or no, it'd be pick up food, wasn't it? I suspect they were picking up food. Maybe they were trying to drop it on a tile though. Either way, you could give them a little bit more lenience there. Say, well, you can drop it a little bit further out. I'm not totally happy with the way the ants drop food on tiles anyway at the minute. So yeah, let's give them a little bit more consideration radius to start with. This is just within the creature. These were worker ants. It's a new movement component. It's something called avoidance. Avoidance. So at the moment they're considering other ants that are 50 away from them in total. Let's give them, if I double that, what sort of response do we get? They should technically be trying to avoid each other more. They should notice. Notice. So they give each other a bit more space. Should notice. Doesn't look like it though, does it? If I'm totally honest, I don't think they are. Let me check the project's avoidance settings. See if that gives us any clues. So this is the detour crowd avoidance system that Unreal has built in. I think they've changed some of the settings since the previous Unreal build. Avoidance config, 10 members. To be fair, we need to go through this in more detail anyway. Path optimization interval, half a second. Also not sure how much of this I'm overriding in the C++. I think we need to, I think I need to spend some time with that. Look up some more tutorials on it. But I've heard of others having this problem with the game, where the ants kind of got stuck in a scrum. It doesn't actually happen that often. It's quite a rare one, which makes it very difficult to test. Maybe the way to test it is to just put loads of food items right on top of each other. Might do the job. I mean, like, literally on top of each other. See, Unreal's trying to be helpful and putting them slightly out for me. It doesn't know what I'm actually trying to do is break it. I think this is probably the best way to break it. Maybe I'll even get a consistent result that I can test with this. Oh, this is fun. Such fun was had. Okay. Right, so what I want to do, I want to have a food storage chamber as well. And then some worker ants. They will all clash into each other. And will break. Would you kindly break? Interestingly enough, I have no food stored. Not sure what's quite sure what's happened there. Oh no, I know exactly what's happened. All the food that I just copied was 0. So they're actually storing no food. So I need to select all the poppy seeds I just added. So, well, assuming it's one of these. Okay, so that looks like so 74. '61 to 74. Okay, so all of those can have 5 food held. Cool. Next, I want to get rid of these because the queen chamber is causing the ants to do that instead of what I want them to do. That's what I meant. Oh, look. Oh. Ah, hello, Hawk. You've made it just in time for it to crash. Unfortunately, I don't think I saved it. I didn't. How exciting. Let's do that again. Food items. I need to set the default food value to something other than 0 so I don't do that again. Okay, this is a lot quicker. Let's save that this time. Now I've set up a test somewhat. The other thing I need to do was, oops, set these to no function. Okay, something's gone horribly wrong there. Okay, it's fine. Okay. Save it there, so. Okay. Of course. They won't be touching it because there is no food chambers. So let's make a few. Okay. Now let's try and cause the scenario that causes problems, which will be adding a lot of workers. Okay, so just see this the scrum for the food. It's actually really difficult to replicate the problem. Unless the agent consideration radius has fixed it somewhat. I think it may have done. No, it really didn't look like they were. They changed the behavior at all. So it might be to do with the food storage chamber they're all trying to put it on. Maybe I need to just put down one food storage chamber. Maybe that'll cause issues. Hopefully. You could say that that's causing issues, but I don't think it actually is. I think the food storage chamber's just filled up, so I suspect as soon as I can build one, they'll just be able to put food down. Yeah, there we go. No issue. Yeah, maybe maybe that's not a bad call. Just trying to decrease the radius. Oh, hang on. Maybe. No, they still look like they're fine. You might be right, though. maybe giving them a really tight arrival distance will cause the problem to happen. So you've noticed what's happening here is a bit cyclic, because they're trying to do the food job. Now there is something on the food job to make the job not be raised if there's no food tile. However, by this point the job has actually already been raised. So what happens is they keep raising the yeah. There's someone else having a go at the demo of the game. Interesting. Yeah, they keep running in to try and pick them up constantly. Now, if there's no space, I'll come back to this problem, but I just want to check something. If there's no space on a food tile, what happens? So this is where a worker, dig job, build job, brood job. Hang on, something's gone wrong here. Behavior tree graph node decorated, class not found. Make sure it is saved. I actually don't know what you're talking about, so let's just get rid of you. Must have been something I got rid of. Right, so where am I? Food job. Targeting resource. Pick up. Target mark job is complete. Right, yeah, I remember doing this last time. So basically they mark a job as complete when they pick it up. However, when a food item so it's more general than that. When a food item creates a job for itself, does it actually check if there's space? Doesn't look like it does. And where's it actually check? There's a branch here, check if for existing job from create food job. Doesn't actually look like it does do a check. I mean, this one checks for overlapping. Right, okay, so I can add a check in here and this should stop them constantly picking up food items when there's nowhere to put it. So I'm going to do this for before this moment here. What does the check do? The check checks to see if there's any food tiles. So what I need is the player controller. Is it the game state? I think it's the game state. So what I want is get resources by player. And also get max resources by player. And basically, if there is storage space, then it'll be less than max. So if resources is less than max resources, if resources are less than max resources, then don't create the food job. No, if they are less, then do. Else just do nothing. Okay, so that should stop them consistently trying to pick up a food item. When there's no space. Sent in the middle, stuck. Until the others have moved. Okay. Is every worker responsible for itself when it comes to jobs? So the jobs are only existent in a huge list from which a worker grabs a job, or is there a centralized job distribution? Yeah, there is a centralized job system which looks for workers that don't have jobs and tries to assign the most appropriate job to the worker. It was very basic, but we're making it more complicated. So it's kind of the underground system's managed from a top-down perspective. So there's something that's got a bigger picture that's dishing out the jobs. We still have no plans to put the dinosaur ant in the game, Hawk. We've got the ants that we've chosen for the game are all quite different in their kind of natural traits that they do. I know dinosaur ants are fascinating things, and they're and to do with the way they look and that sort of thing. And they're an interesting idea. But we currently don't have any plans to put them in. So yeah, at the moment the As soon as I build a food tile here, yeah, you haven't managed to break it once yet, which is disappointing. Betrayed. You're desperate to get the dinosaur ants in. They're an interesting idea and they're a fascinating species, but... Okay, why are these jobs not getting done? Right, I've managed to break something. See if anything's coming out in the output log. Okay, something's broken. Wasn't actually what I was expecting to be broken. But at the moment it's really not easy to tell what is broke here. If I... My guess is that an ant is stuck somewhere in its behaviour tree. But I really do need to know which ant has been assigned this job. But jobs don't work like that. Interesting. Have a theory what that could be. It's to do with something I implemented relatively recently. And I think it's to do with an ant being given a job when it's already got another job. Let's see if I can replicate it. And I do think I know what that is. And I think if I build food storage here, God, that took a while to consider that it arrived there. Right, so there's currently loads of ants with tasks. Okay, they get there, they abandon their current task, mark it as complete. Now I think a load of these won't be built. And will just never get built. Yeah, I know what it is. Something I put in last time which marks a job as complete. At the moment you pick it up. So here. So what an ant does is it marks its job as complete there, but my guess is it also marks it as complete here when it targets an open food tile, moves to it and places the food on the tile. Now with the food placed on tile, my guess part of this is marked job as complete. So there we are. When what's happened is the ant has been given a job, a different job, whilst it's been taking the food back to the other tile. And so it's marking the different job as complete, the wrong job. And this is a fundamental thought process of something that happens in the game. It's whether a job is completed as soon as the ant gets to it, or whether a job remains uncompleted until the ant has put the food down. So I guess the question is, why did the ant mark it as completed as soon as it picked it up? Why is it doing that? Should the job instead not be marked as completed when it actually puts it down? Probably. Okay, I might be wrong. Looking at this isn't actually used anymore. There was a reason I did this. I can't remember what it is. My guess is because I can repeat that problem anyway, I should be able to test this really quite simply. Just by breaking that. So basically the ant doesn't mark the job as complete there. I'm assuming it doesn't mark it as complete here. Oh, it does. But if there's no food left on the creature that's harvesting. Okay. So right, so that'll be why I did it, to be consistent. Because if you're harvesting food from a corpse, the job... Yeah. Yeah, the job is... is not completed at the... is completed at the point that the corpse ends up with no food left on it. Not at the point that the final food's taken back. So an ant needs to be able to handle that. Needs to be able to handle a situation where it doesn't have a job, but is carrying food and is so trying to put it in a food storage chamber. Right. Mark job is complete. But I'm pretty sure it's this that's causing the issue. As it's marking its job as finished. So it's being given another job. And is then finishing that as well. I should actually be able to run this test with a small pool of ants rather than the huge amount I have at the moment. So this is the situation where the food storage area has been filled up. You build another food storage area. Once that's been built, the ants bring their food over to it and drop it in. Whilst they're dropping it in, you build another. So yeah, I should be able to do this with a small pool of ants. But currently the job will never get marked as complete because I just removed. Okay, so yeah, let's stick that back on so I can replicate the problem again and try and do it with a more controlled group of ants. I think I need 2 ants. So one has to be building the thing and the other one. And maybe it does need a large pool in order to trigger this issue. They'll basically try and pick up every food item once Oh no, it's been triggered. Right, so it should probably try and mark its job as complete at the last point, and harvesting food from corpses is a special case where it does mark the job as complete earlier. However, if it marks its job is complete earlier, it needs to stop the job system giving it another job. Can you play it? I want to see. Lol. What engine is it? It's Unreal Engine 4. Sorry. I will play it in a moment. But this is quite a serious issue that I've got going on here. So I do need to make sure I get this one solved. And soon. And the issue is that the way that harvesting food from corpses is working, it's not playing well with the mark job as complete code. So I'd rather have a job completed at that point, but block other jobs coming in. The job allocation system at the moment is being worked on, so I can't tinker with it. Although I can speak to the guy who is tinkering with it. Basically, I need some method of blocking a job being given to the ant. So what I probably actually need is a function on the ant that can say, can I receive a job? That the job allocation system tries to run, which covers all cases of when an ant shouldn't be able to receive a job. Which should actually probably be within the ant's job component. Not the ant itself. And what it'll check is if the ant is carrying an item, then it can't receive a job. I think that's a reasonable solution. I need to stop chewing the E45 cream packet. It's not so simple. So the job component. Now the question is, does my colleague have that checked out? He might do. He might be working on it right at this moment. He doesn't. I can take job component. Okay, so inside an ant's job component is going to be an option to stop the ant receiving a job. A function, if you will. And what it'll do is it'll check things like... Oh, maybe it shouldn't be inside the job component, because it needs to check things on a creature level. Okay, let's not do that. Instead, I'm going to do it on the creature... Yeah, I think it should be on the creature. Is it just going to be a Boolean? It's going to be a function, and the function will run through everything. So it's going to be on the creature level. Okay, so inside creature, it's just going to be one of these Boolean properties. No, it's not a property, it's a function. It's a U function. Similar to this one, actually, so I might as well just copy and paste this one. Can receive job. Okay. Next, we need to find the implementation of this in a similar function to this one. Or was it just can receive job? Just can receive job. Okay, so for the moment, what it's going to check is the conditions it's going to check is if it's carrying an item. So if it's carrying something, it's assumed that it can't receive a job. So there's something on here about carried. No. So there's a pickup actor and a drop actor and a get held actor. So I'm assuming get held actor returns null. Okay, so get held actor returns null if he's not got anything. So what you do is you run that get held actor. What that will return is a pointer. If it returns a pointer, it's holding something. If it returns null, this if statement will return true, and we need to return it. So if it doesn't have an actor, if it does have an actor, return false, else return true. Okay. So that is going to have to be called by the job allocation system. So I'm going to leave that there. I understand what the problem is. The food job should be completed at the point that it picks up the target. That's the point the job gets completed, but it can't receive a job if it's holding something. Nothing should be able to receive a job if it's holding something, because it'll have something very specific that it's doing in mind. But this can receive job thing will act as multiple other things. So now we've got that roughly implemented. Let's compile. This is where the whole thing crashes. There's a very real chance it will crash, by the way, because editing creature often does that. So just bear with me. Still haven't solved the issue that we had earlier, but in order to solve that, I'm going to have to wait for it to occur again. The best way to make it occur is just to play the game. Because I can't make it. I've tried artificially setting it up. Something I could do, try and make it not occur, is to give the ants more, when they're dropping the food on the tile, give them a bigger radius that they're allowed to do it from. Should be fine. So I think that's what was causing it. I think. It's very difficult to tell though. Right, I should, as soon as that's compiled, I'll give it a go. But of course, it's taking its sweet time, as it tends to when you're compiling from seeing this. There's some things we can do to speed it up. We should definitely look into that. Dum-de-dum. Just check social media whilst I'm waiting. Okay, didn't crash. Didn't even add anything that I'm going to be using in the immediate future, but it is. But we can get on with it now at least. Okay, so there's basically a situation where the jobs can be accidentally marked as complete even when they're not. I think, although I'm not actually sure where the point where the job gets marked as complete, I haven't quite figured that out yet. Although this mark job as complete in here, maybe I need to add some checks in to make sure it's marking the correct job as complete, and that the job hasn't changed in the meantime. The job shouldn't change. Yeah, I really don't think it should change. I'm guessing it's here that the job gets marked as complete because they're carrying a food item. Could be in here actually. Right. So this is trying to target a primary... This is trying to target an empty food tile. And this actually does mark the job as complete. See, this is probably what it is. Because this is still being used. Maybe it shouldn't be. If closer than the current closest. Right, this is just it looking through, looking for its target, right? Then at the end, that's a failure. That's a success. So this is saying if current target does not equal 0, so if it's got a target, it succeeds. If it hasn't got a target, it fails and it marks the job as complete. And drops the food item. So this is it. This is what's causing the issues, is that it's trying to mark a job as complete. I don't even think we need to. Bring this down so we can see this. This is just getting its job component, marking it as complete. But the job should have been marked as completed at the point that it got picked up. So yeah, I really do think we just need to skip this. So yeah, now we've taken that out of the equation. Yeah, I think the C++ stuff in Unreal just does take a while to compile, because you're compiling the whole game engine, not just the game that you're building. You're also compiling all the Unreal stuff behind the scenes, everything. So yeah, I think it just does take a while. There is still probably some stuff we can do to speed it up. But anyway, yeah, I could do with running... Actually, I can test it. It was quite simple to test, wasn't it? Error in creature BP. Right, apparently creature BP's got an error. That's a lie. Okay, calm down. There's no error here. Warning says does not inherit from creature BP. Formica Repta Queen. Might not actually. Brood totals. From her to queen. It's Casting itself to a Formica Erepta queen. Right, now I think I understand what the issue this is having is. I've been ignoring it for ages, but... Although this does come up when your queen dies. Let's have a quick look at Formica Erepta queen. I know I'm off on a tangent again. Parent class creature BP. I don't know what it's talking about. I really don't. If I reparent it to creature BP again, as in do nothing. Will creature BP finally shut up? Maybe I just need to... Doesn't look like it's willing to shut up. So if I can... It's wrong. It definitely works in the game. Drives me mad, does that warning. Anyway, moving on. No, they won't recompile the whole thing each time you run it in the editor, but I need to look up more on it, to be honest. I'm not the engine expert as such. Matt does all the optimizations and things that are involved in the engine. Either way, I'm sure there's more we can do. It's definitely got worse recently. Oh, great. Attempted to access missing property. Cooked build. Looks like I may need to recompile from the editor anyway. I'm assuming nothing's wrong. Maybe it is. I'm going to recompile from C++. Do a clean build, because something dodgy's going on there. Unless I've done something stupid, which is totally possible. Can receive job. A creature can receive job. Don't see the issue here. Maybe there isn't one. Maybe the editor's just messing up. Hi, John. I'm back from work. Now, you stream more, okay. Stream for a bit longer. We actually achieved what we set out to do relatively quickly. And now I'm kind of bug fixing things, which is great fun. Okay. Okay, it's calmed down now. Thank goodness for that. Okay, so I need to food chamber. Want to see me workers. Hop 2. Yeah, there is a food chamber there. Okay, I now think I've fixed this issue. It's basically what... So the idea here is that I've created these other jobs whilst they were in the process of a different job, although they should have had a blank job spot. But now, because I've stopped the job being marked as complete at that point, I've moved it all to the other point. This bug that I had shouldn't occur. As far as I'm aware, we haven't added much onto the editor. Apart from our own things, which we've kind of modded in. Actual game question: are we getting different weather, times of day, night during the campaign? I think what we'll do is certain levels will be set up in certain conditions. They won't be dynamic as such. Like, some levels will be rainy and swampy, and some levels will be darker, and some levels will be lighter. But as it stands at the moment, the weather system's not going to be dynamic during the level. Okay, so I seem to have solved that problem. Thank goodness for that. Although I do want to speak to my colleague Liam about this boolean I've put in. Well, not boolean, it's a function I've put into to question whether you can receive a job or not, and make sure it gets built properly into the job system. Right, so I guess I should actually have another playtest now. Now we've got the ants being able to successfully go to be drawn to a certain point in the map. Before I run a playtest, I'm just gonna nip to the loo and get myself another coffee. Back in a moment. Okay. Install cafeteria and toilet at desk. Yes. Okay. Right, let's do this. I'm just going to play through the game just in its current state. I don't want to mess around too much with anything. Thing I did notice was that was set to a food chamber. It shouldn't be. I don't need that to be set to a food chamber either. Okay, so let's have a mess around. See what breaks. See what works. I feel like the ants should bob a bit in their walking animation, like a bit more vertically, rather than just kind of float. That's just an animation thing, it's neither here nor there. Okay, yeah. It's done, isn't it? Dig through here. Dig through here. Sure. What's that, Mike? Google Trends. April, May 14, June, July, August 15. That's really interesting. November 2015. So that's last year when we ran the last Kickstarter. Oh, bloody hell. It's just skyrocketed this time compared to last time. That's fascinating, Mike. Okay, so what's going on? What have I left my ants doing? Not much by the look of it. What's these? These look like potatoes. Bits of scenery. Oh, hang on, no. Are they eggs? Oh no, it is scenery. Whew! Nearly had a heart attack then. It's like... Okay, so... testing the thing we were testing earlier. So yeah, there's the call to arms as such. Yeah. Still works. Turn it off. You know, that we really do need to change the colour of that. Because that really does look like an ant's just thrown an egg in the wall. Maybe it's just me as a developer that had a heart attack then. I'm sure you guys weren't panicking. I want to keep an eye on the worker's fleeing mechanic because it didn't seem to be behaving correctly. Not like last time. I need to get building the some new levels as well. Oh. Call to arms, black ants, call to arms. Yeah, the fleeing mechanic's not behaving right. In fact, it's just not behaving at all. I wonder what I've done to break that. Job made. I need to stop that message coming up as well. Oh, it's a big web flash, then you put down the rally point. Lower in the edge. Yeah, it could definitely do with something more. Matt said he wasn't happy with the graphic for it anyway. It's just a temporary measure. But it works. Works have a job to do. They can't just flee. Yeah, they're meant to flee though. I added the code in and it was working before. I do want to know what I've actually done. What's changed. So I'm not actually sure what has. For the swarm. It's very StarCraft. Oh, I need to get my soldiers here actually. Come on, black ants. Gonna need you in a second. I need the black ants to spread out as well. That's one of the things I need them to do. Like as soon as the fight's ended, they need to try and go somewhere else. That looks like a worker's actually part tunneled through there. I reckon the worker was killed that was trying to do it. You're going to include Nicolas Cage as an Of course, every game's got to have Nicolas Cage in. Oh, are the workers keeping their current job when they go into flee mode? Yes, they are at the moment. Although I do want them to. I actually spoke to Liam, who's doing the job system, and he said if I just nullify their job component, they should just abandon that job, and the job should be passed on to another ant, which I would like to happen when they flee, because I think they should then be given a job elsewhere in the nest rather than just constantly trying to fleeing for a bit and then returning to time to flee and to returning. So I should do that next, maybe, once we've finished our little test, which isn't me just playing the game. I'm not just using this as an excuse to play. Honest. Yeah, with this build of the game, something people are going to have to remember is that the black ants can't see the entire range of the map anymore, and that you will actually need to use the call to arms. You can't just expect the black ants to run immediately to the problem. You do need to ready them for an attack. So that's something that shouldn't happen. A worker shouldn't dig out one tile and then run off to do another job. Fly, my pretties. I should probably build some more black ants, shouldn't I? I wonder if if with these changes I've made, whether the game's a lot easier. It might be. Like, clever ants lead to an easier game. I guess it makes sense. In real life, ants would raise an alarm signals for an intruder. So word will get around relatively quickly. Yeah, you're absolutely right. We still got the possibility to add something in like that. As in, if one ant does spot it, maybe it warns nearby ants. There's like a pheromone thing sent out. Well, basically, it just finds all ants within its radius that it can, and tells them about the attack, and it causes a chain reaction. So maybe they can be that sort of side to things. So an ant's not just looking itself, that the other ants are looking for them. It's certainly a consideration. Yeah, see, this is the job priority system not being right at the minute. But there's already been a commitment. Commitment? Liam's already uploaded an updated version of the job system. So I intend to have a look at that in a mo. We actually have considered that one, like a pheromone marker, which just decays over time. I mean, that might be a better solution to the underground kind of control system, in that rather than being so explicit with your controls, like I've just added in, which just summons all the black ants to a point, you can kind of mark an area as dangerous, which then triggers off a pheromone reaction with other ants. It's an option. Something that needs consideration. For this demo build, I think this is fine. Being able to just having that little bit more control than you had before. think it's alright. How are we doing? Before you needed about 50 to 70 ants, somewhere in between, to clear the bottom left. I'm 40 at the minute, so still quite a way to go. Be interested to see if you can do it with less with this build. Although I did add that chunk of food in at the beginning of the game, which was quite a lot, I think. All my black ants over here. Everyone, get in here! Or get out of there. Give the workers room to operate. Right, 54 with 55 food in reserve. Still more food coming. You have to remember there's a lot more. There's actually quite a bit more food on this map than there was before. One food. So I might just be able to go for it. Maybe that's wishful thinking. Oh no, there's still loads of food being gathered. Loads of food being gathered. Oh god. They're going to gather that before digging through there. That's going to take them flipping ages. Because there's so much more food, I should have been alright building a few more workers, actually. It's a bit late now. I think the battle for the end's about to begin. Let's do it. Ah, the daily amp factor's arrived. I'm just going to attack this bottom left area. I think I know what I want to do next. I'm going to jot down my forthcoming tasks, so to speak. Okay, so I need to speak to Liam. Job function. What else was I talking about? So I'm interested to see how this shows out. Oh, remove the job made text. That was incredibly easy. Funny what just a few small changes do. I mean, I really haven't changed that much in terms of gameplay. We've added this thing to allow you to draw your ants to the area. What else have we changed? Creatures now give food, so there's now for each of those Devil's Coach horse larvae on the map, there is a food. Yeah, 15 more food available, which is quite a heavy amount, really. That's what they're doing here. They're harvesting the corpses. But yeah, the what else was changed? So basically, it's just there being a lot more food on this map now, more than anything, I think. Is what's caused the biggest change. But also the attracting the ants there will actually make a massive difference. Because you can build your ants up in an area before attacking, so you're not just coming in drips and drabs, you're going in as one solid force. Interesting. Yeah, also the workers aren't running into their deaths anymore. That's a good point. So yeah, the workers should be penalised for worker deaths. So yeah, add in worker respawn costs. I only removed them because of the stupidity of the workers before, but now they're a bit cleverer. Sure, there's some other things I said whilst we were streaming. That's stuff that could do with being fixed, or do with being added next as a priority. I'll figure it out anyway. But yeah, the changes have definitely had a big impact on the gameplay. That's for sure. Well, I'm gonna call it there. We achieved what we set out to achieve very quickly today, and hence a lot of this stream has just been bug fixing and testing. Which is going to need a lot of work offline anyway. So yeah, thanks for sticking with me if you've stuck around for a while. It's been good. We've got some very useful information from this play session. Make them do something ridiculous. I'm not writing that one down. Right. Okay. Thanks very much for joining. I'll see about the stream next week. See how we're doing. But these all get uploaded to YouTube anyway. And lots of people have been watching them there. So I think it's kind of more important that the streams are put up on YouTube than anything else. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. And I'll see you guys next time. Probably next weekend at some point. See ya. Thanks for joining.